What if we could go back and talk to yesteryear? What have I learned that would really help the Cliff that was newly diagnosed from crisis mode to the new normal? All right, everybody, we're going to do something fun today. And yes, I'm going to be reading off my script I wrote here because yesterday it was insanely hot here in North Carolina, and my cog fog is bam through the roof today. And if I want to make any sense, I have to write everything down and stick to my notes, or I'll go off in tangents that no one can follow and it will be a mess, and then I'll fatigue out and I won't be able to finish this video. So you're gonna love this video though, because oh my gosh, we're gonna play a little game here and you're gonna be able to add a lot of value, whether you're newly diagnosed or you've been diagnosed for a long time and living with MS for a long time. The comments you leave and the subscriptions you make to this channel right now will help others down the road, and I think by an order of magnitude. So what are we doing? What if we could go back, in my case, 10 years, 8 years, and talk to the Cliff of yesteryear? What have I learned in this 8 years that would really help the Cliff that was newly diagnosed? Okay, so I'm going to read this so it makes sense, and play along with me here, okay? If people living with multiple sclerosis for a decade, in my case, might be 5 years for you, 2 years, whatever, could send a message back to their newly diagnosed self. So think back to when you were just diagnosed, whether you're sitting in that doctor's office or you're sitting at home and the doctor calls you and tells you you have MS. The theme wouldn't be just about medical management, right? We have neurologists for that. But the mental shift from crisis mode to the new normal. We all kind of go, oh my gosh, what do we do now? Okay, so I wrote down 5 things that I would tell myself. I have like 100, but these 5 things I backed up with statistics from the community. Let's back up. It was late 2018, early 2019 when I got my diagnosis. What would I tell myself? Okay, Cliff, what would you tell you? Boy, that's weird to say. Number 1, Cliff, you need to advocate for yourself early and loudly, okay? And I think this is something we don't do very well because, well, until you've lived with MS for a while, you can't really expect to understand that there's no cure for this thing, right? We have been groomed to go to the doctors, get a pill, deal with something for a week, and then we're over it. But that's not how multiple sclerosis works. And the advocacy that we have to do for ourselves is an ongoing thing from day one. It doesn't matter how great your medical team is, Cliff, how awesome they are, how much you love them, how good they are at their jobs. You need to stay on them about you. Don't stand in the back of the line because this disease is not going to wait for them. And that's the problem. We've got to be as aggressive as our disease, if not more, in treating ourselves, and we cannot be put in the back of the line. And what you're going to learn, Cliff, is you're going to have to kiss quite a few frogs to find that neurologist, MS specialist that works with your style of communication. And you are going to find a group of neurologists that you are absolutely going to love. And I can't tell you who they are. You have to find them on your own. And there's a lot of people out there in the MS community that will say the same thing. And they're going to comment below and they're going to tell you, yes, advocate for yourself. And if you find people pushing back on you when you're advocating for yourself, you're talking to the wrong people. Everybody else out there, I'm not talking to everybody else, not just Cliff. The average diagnosis time globally is 2 to 3 years for an MS diagnosis. And in the United States, it's a little bit longer than that. And in places like Germany, it's quite a bit shorter than that. But look at a 2 to 3 year time frame that you're going to be asked to start a DMT, most likely. If you make a good decision about that, there's a good chance you are going to knock down your risk of progression by 50%. Making no decision is really, really, really bad. The disease does not sit stagnant. It doesn't wait for you to make a decision. It will continue to get worse. And I'm just a patient. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a healthcare provider. But from what I know about this multiple sclerosis is it never stops being its own advocate. It's aggressive. Find those people you vibe with, do your treatment. And Cliff, you did good with that. Even though you took about a 1.5 year break there, you should have started on that Kesimpta right after you got it. The whole thing where you decided not to do it because you were going to try health and wellness and fitness, and then you started noticing your disease progressing again. Yeah, don't do that, okay? So don't do that again. Number 2. All right, Cliff, this is really important. You are not your diagnosis, okay? And I know you just got diagnosed and you are going to have a very tough time dealing with this fact, but MS is going to feel like it defines you for a long time. And believe me, it's going to take you a long time to get over that. And in a weird way, your life becomes about building a community around people that live with MS, because it becomes a very lonely disease after a while. But the initial 10 years involve a profound grieving process. And that won't go away. The first 2 years are going to be very rough on you, Cliff. You're going to want to be who you were before the diagnosis. But the reality is you have to go through that process. You're not going to be that person again. And that's okay, because there are better parts of you forming right now. There are better things happening. There are parts of you that you're going to really miss. Riding your bike on the weekends for 50 miles at a time, 100 miles at a time, hanging out on the beach with your friends when it's hot outside. You know, there are things that are going to fade away, but we're going to fill those things with new opportunities. And it's going to open your eyes to just very meaningful work. So I'm being a little bit of a future teller here, because I'm living here in the future and I'm telling you where you've been and where you're going. And it's all right to grieve the former us. And it's totally natural. But the MS does not define your identity. It will feel like that for a good couple of years. And it will be part of you forever. But it's what you choose to do with what you're learning from MS that defines how you can impact others moving forward. Okay, so approximately, from what I found, 50% of people with MS will experience a major depressive episode at some point after diagnosis. Knowing this early allows patients to seek mental health support as a standard point of care, rather than a sign of failing to cope. Now, and this is really important. Everybody else out there, I'm not just talking to Cliff now of past. It took me 2 years to find a good cognitive behavioral therapist who knew the nuances of multiple sclerosis to help me walk through this grieving process and this depressive era, and to help me develop the tools that were unique for me to get through this. And it still comes back all the time. Yes, it's summer. Yes, I hate the fact that I'm stuck inside. But I'm being productive. I'm talking to you guys. We're doing things that are fun. I'm not sitting here grieving about like what I'm missing out on, because we're doing things that matter here. And I can't stress this enough. It is such a mental battle for those first few years. I found the number of 50% of people will experience major depressive episodes after their diagnosis. I think it's way higher than that. I think it's like in the 80s to 90s, but that's completely subjective. But everybody I know that's been diagnosed with MS goes through this. Like, they go through this process of trying to find themselves again, trying to bring back the normal they once had, and it's just not there. It's just going to be different. But that you're not your diagnosis, right? You're not just MS at this point, and you will get to a point, Cliff, you will get to a point where you're more than your diagnosis. Just keep moving forward, and it's okay to feel these emotions. All right, number 3. This one's good. Yeah, and I know everybody out here is going to agree. All right, Cliff, you know you have problems walking. At the point of when you see this video in 2018, 2019, you're probably using your walker already that you borrowed from somebody. You're trying to figure out why your legs aren't working right and how you can get your leg strength back. And you're really dealing with a lot of physical symptoms. But those aren't the ones that are going to really bother us moving forward. It's the invisible symptoms that become the issue. And these are the ones we are going to be dealing with every single day, and the ones that, for the most part, we can't explain to anyone who doesn't have MS. And there's this community that you're going to be building, Cliff, called @NeuroCliff on YouTube, where you're going to have all these people that totally understand what you're going through. And they are going to be your motivation. They are like your extended family. Like, we can talk about these things and they get it. And they're watching this video right now. Let's drop some statistics on this, because Cliff, I know you like numbers. And up to 80% of people with MS list fatigue as their most disabling symptoms. Additional 40 to 60% of patients experience cognitive changes like word finding, processing speed issues within the first 10 years, making workplace accommodations vital. But it's not just workplace accommodations, it's also accommodations at home. The invisible symptoms are a problem because our friends are not going to understand them. Don't feel bad about not going to that party when it's hot. Don't feel bad about not answering that phone when you just don't have the energy to have a conversation. Cognitive stuff requires a ton of energy, and you're dealing with some serious fatigue issues. It's going to take you time, and it's also going to take time for the community around you that has been with you before your diagnosis to understand what you're going through. And we don't have to ask them to understand the disease, but we need them to understand that when we say no to something, we're not rejecting them because these are our friends. We are simply trying to preserve our function. That is going to take time for you to develop, and you will see, Cliff, that some of your friends are going to drop off. Like, they can't understand your struggle. I don't know if it's just too much for them and they don't know how to react to it, or if they just don't want someone who's, for lack of a better term, unreliable being part of their group anymore. It's not that you're unreliable, it's just that things have changed. But some people will take it personally. They will take it as rejection and they'll think you're ignoring them. You can't change how they feel, but the good people are going to stick with you. And that is the important part. And you will see that. You will have a time in the next 2 years where you have a complete breakdown and it gets ugly. It gets real ugly. And you will be amazed who sticks with you. And things will turn around. You're going to be a much tougher person for this. I know it sucks now, but think of it like boot camp. It sucks now, but you are going to be absolutely thrilled with what you can achieve, because this disease pushes you beyond the comfort zone that most people will never understand. And everybody in this community understands that. Like, you guys are awesome. I'm talking to the community now. You're just so tough and so empathetic, and it's just a great community. Number 4, movement is your best medicine. Okay, so Cliff, I know you just got diagnosed, and one of the reasons you got diagnosed is because your balance is absolute crap. You're using a walker, you're crashing into things. In fact, I don't know when you're watching this video, but you broke some bones in your foot right around diagnosis time because you passed out from the heat. There's going to be a lot of people that say, don't overextend yourself. That doesn't mean stop moving. And you're going to stop moving for a while because you're going to think that any movement is going to put you at risk. But no movement is far more riskier. And what you're going to find, staying in motion will keep you in motion. And your strengths will come back. Even though you're doing the disease-modifying therapies and you're doing everything you can, that movement is going to be your best medicine. And on your worst days, in your deepest depressions, when you just don't want to get out of bed, everything hurts, is that if you can just get out of bed and you can walk to the mailbox, you can walk around the block, or if it's too hot, you can get on your stationary bike and just spend 5 minutes spinning your legs. It will start lifting the curtain of depression. And this discovery about 3 years in will change your life. And you will eventually join the good folks at Bike MS, and their positivity and their energy will completely change your life. And I know that sounds dramatic. Where that's going to take you, you're going to be very happy about. So surround yourself with people that don't have to understand your disease, but have empathy for your disease, and feed off their energy. And I think what you're going to find is things are going to be very, very good. So let's look at this. I did some numbers for the rest of the community out there. Regular aerobic exercise has been shown to improve cardiovascular fitness, walking speed, but more importantly, it can lead to a 27% reduction in the rate of brain atrophy, that's shrinkage, compared to patients with MS that don't do anything. So you're not only preserving your physical function, you're also preserving your mental function. And it doesn't mean we have to go out and run 30 miles or walk 30 miles and sweat our butts off and do like we used to do before our diagnosis to qualify a workout. It means just putting one foot in front of the other. At least that's what it means for me. And some days that's just really damn hard. But I do it to get rid of the depression, and it definitely helps. And it takes some stuff too, some prescribed stuff. So Cliff, keep that in mind. And I want to hear from the community, what do you do to keep you moving? Because everybody has a different routine. All right, number 5, Cliff. And I've kind of hinted at this, and I think a lot of people will agree with this. The long-term outlook is better than you think. So first we go through this, you've got to pick a DMT. Everything's going to change. Maybe you have to apply for disability, maybe you don't. That might be a couple of year process. There is a lot of crap thrown in our direction. I have to say this, what we've learned, and not only are we looking at remyelination, and Cliff, you may not know what that is yet, but it's basically getting nerve function back. Plain out, wiping out MS entirely. And now there's this thing called artificial intelligence, AI. I can't even explain to you how it's changing the future of medicine because you're in 2018, 2019. This is completely different. This has changed the world. And for better or for worse, we're not really sure yet. But for medical discoveries and research purposes, it is insanely powerful. And we are seeing really good things happening. So it is accelerating our discoveries. But now let's talk about the numbers, which I have here. Recent longitudinal studies show that with modern treatments, the longevity gap has narrowed significantly. People with MS now live on average 5 to 7 years less than the general population, but that's a massive improvement from the 15-year gap seen just a few decades ago. So that alone, we've bought ourselves at least another 5 to 7 years in a very short amount of time. And I think we're going to have a very normal average lifespan here fairly soon. So things are looking good. Keep yourself involved with the community because they are going to keep you apprised of everything that's happening. So just a quick recap, Cliff, and you might want to write these down. Advocate for yourself early and loudly. Number 2, you are not your diagnosis. You are still Cliff with MS, but you are not MS. The invisible symptoms are the realest ones. Everybody sees what's on the outside, but the ones that are on the inside that you can't show are the ones that are going to be the most difficult to manage. And movement is your best medicine, and I told you why. And last, but of course not least, the long-term outlook is a lot better than you think it is in 2018, 2019. And I think you're going to be very, very happy with how things are working out. MS is going to bring a lot of positive things to your life. It sucks to live with every single day. It's really hard, but it's going to give you a unique understanding that just a lot of people don't have. And it's going to help you weather very tough times ahead. Thank you everybody out there in the community. I talked to myself in the past. Hopefully some of these things resonated with you. I want to know what you guys are doing. What would you tell yourself? And what do you think is the #1 or top 5 things you've learned about living with MS that you would have wanted to know when you were diagnosed? Anyway, this was just kind of a fun video. Hopefully it means something for some people. And if you're newly diagnosed, make sure to read the comments. There are some super smart people in here that leave some really great information. I'm Cliff. This is Life with MS. And if you don't mind, hit that subscribe, that like, that share, and that notification bell. The more we reach, the merrier, because this is a real positive community that's just doing great things. I'm Cliff, and I am out.